Gonna guess this will be a total episode of 27 minutes, 51 seconds. Hello and welcome back to the Free Outside Podcast, where we just talk about anything we want on here. So today is a big day. Of course, we got the race that we just announced that me and Allison Powell are going to be putting on in Bozeman, Montana. We're going to talk that, and we're going to talk maybe other things, like other things that I haven't mentioned yet. Oh, we have a sponsor. Are you constantly battling fatigue on the trails, searching for that game-changing, all-natural performance booster? Introducing 100% organic, sourced directly from nature, ultra light, easy to carry with you anywhere, instant refreshment, and you feel revitalized with every use. It is the secret performance and endless energy. The secret to peak performance and endless energy. We're not re-recording that. But are you ready for what the product is? It's water. Yeah, because staying hydrated shouldn't be a mystery, obviously. Okay, let's dive into the episode here. We have few plans, but lots of dreams here at Free Outside LLC. But anyways, why would someone put on a fixed time race? Isn't it boring to run in circles? Have I done them? Why should anyone want to do them? Great questions, of course, and so many more. I think there's actually a way in Spotify you can send in a voice memo to the podcast, and I'll play it on air. Send in questions and I'll answer anything. And this is basically, the podcast is a platform for me to battle my autistic self in here, because I haven't been officially diagnosed, but I took one of those quizzes online that was like 140 questions long, and scored very highly, like an A+ in the that realm. I mean, I'm probably not autistic at all, but loud chewing, scratchy clothing, rounding. I like non-rounded numbers. Those are my favorite. So this kind of all flows into, or regimented schedules, so many other things. But this all flows into the fixed time race that we're putting on called Montana Meltdown. Check that out on Ultra Sign Up, a 4, 12, and 24-hour period. And the reason why I love fixed time and think more people should get into them is it unlocks mileage. And so this is what I say to the athletes I coach and really have unlocked for myself, although I started with 2,650 miles with the Pacific Crest Trail and unlocked up to 8,000 miles through the calendar year Triple Crown, and then started moving down and having to learn to go faster. So the distance was never the thing I needed to unlock for me, but in coaching, I've learned unlocking the distance is really cool, and it leads to a bunch more confidence. That's where fixed time comes in, and you get to find a rhythm. You get to problem solve along the way. I just ran the course of Montana Meltdown, 82% packed gravel, like just fast, soft trail, perfect, buttery, as they like to say, as I think Dylan Bowman always calls it, buttery trail, which, how can butter describe trail? I don't see a single crossover or relationship between butter and trail. But anyways, it's smooth. I think that's a better way to describe it. And 18% is asphalt, which is not bad at all either. There's 2 lakes, some good views of the mountains, great views of the mountains, like better views, the greatest views you've ever seen. Just better views than you could ever expect, obviously. So fixed time, unlocking distance. And so that when I did a 48-hour, it unlocked that I could go 4 miles an hour for 48 hours. In fact, probably a little bit quicker. So it unlocked in my mind that I can cover 201 miles or whatever it was in that duration. It was really good practice with pacing. It taught me how to move for that length of time. And then I did a 12-hour in Helena, 2 years in a row, actually. And it had, like, let's say 10,000 feet of gain in 65 miles or whatever I did. So it taught me that I could do 100K roughly with those stats in under 12 hours. and it was overnight, so it taught me I could do it even faster. So these fixed time races offer a way to push yourself and have like a metric, learn how to do pacing. And on this course, it's about every 1.5 miles you pass the aid station, you get a chance to, well, we always called it resupply in the trail world, but in the trail running world, I guess they call it just grabbing aid, high-fiving the race director. Allison will probably be the high-five queen. I shy away from hugs, because touching is weird. Didn't grow up with a lot of hugs. Anyways, the fixed time format, that's why I like it. It's the chance to fall into a rhythm, teaches you pacing, and you can pace, you're pacing like on this course, it would be every 1.5 miles. So you get that chance to see how your pace fluctuates. You get that chance to take a rest. You can reset. If stomach issues happen, you can take care of them immediately. My phone just went off, so apologies for that. But the fixed time format in general just has been something I thought is really underrated, and that more people can unlock a distance and have that confidence for a 100-miler. Like how I would think a progression would work perfectly is 50K, 50-mile, maybe 12-hour, but maybe 100K. And then you do a 24-hour, which shows you pacing, nutrition. It brings up all the pain points of like, oh, I got a hot spot on my foot from my sock or from my shoe. So you can change that immediately. And then you get to keep going. So that's kind of the beauty of the race, why we started one. How do you start a race? I don't even know. Had to get permitting for the location, just learning as we go. ChatGPT is pretty helpful, all that stuff. And then launching on Ultra signup. So pretty stoked to get to enter this next phase of life as, I become an RD, and that stands for race director. If you're a thru hiker, I challenge you to come out and wear a backpack the whole time, and you can even set up your tent and sleep overnight when you're out there. So we're trying to bring all the communities together. This cult would not be the same without everyone here. We like to just throw it all out there, invite you all in, and we're just going to see what comes out the other side. All right, moving on. So last weekend, this will be the second year I've done Scummy Summer Slammer. What is that, you ask? Well, it's this thing in Bozeman that we do where our run club, in conjunction with Run Club, we'll say, puts on this run we call it from Bozeman to Yellowstone. And that's pretty much what it is. But it's a really grassroots thing. It's attainable. It's low cost. It's basically suggested donation, but let's call it like $50 that gets you there's people who will set up your tent, and you just run between locations. So we started out on Friday. I'm going to see if I can explain this better by just walking through what actually happened out there. So we started out Friday, and because do they call it glutton for punishment? I don't know. Just because I wanted to do more miles, and I just wanted to see if my Achilles could handle it. Unfortunately, I rolled my ankle today. So we'll see how it's handling things in general in a couple days before the Tahoe Rim Trail. I'm getting on so many tangents. Tangent City over here. Tangent. Okay, back to where we were. I decided to get up at 5 a.m. and run to the trailhead. But it ran on the two dumbest roads to run on in Bozeman. One had no shoulder and the other also had no shoulder, and people drove 50 miles an hour. And I think it was 13 miles to the trailhead. So that was a rough 2-hour start to the day. But anyways, I ran there, and then we started South Cottonwood Trailhead. From there, we run on pretty smooth trails, not buttery smooth, not as smooth as our race, not smooth, but they're good for Montana, easy to follow and stuff like that. Then we turned and went up towards Blackmore Peak. So we climbed all the way up there, summited that. It wasn't out and back, so we summit the 10,100 or so foot peak, then run all the way back down to the valley, and then take this left and go climb up this other quite scenic ridge. Actually, there was some snow still on it. It is Montana. I mean, everything's way more beautiful than wherever all these listeners, all you guys live, but So we climb up that, join Telephone Ridge, wind through it. We saw like 100 elk. I was with 5 friends running through it. It was, yeah, I could name them, but they would just sound like generic names. I believe Sam, Aiden, Jeremy, and Rich, and maybe Nate. Now I'm just saying generic names. But we pass that, we keep running, we eventually join a road, and then we drop down, run down the road for 5 miles or so, 7 miles maybe, and then hit where we're camping. And so we have our tent set up. The people who are crewing set up some of the tents, especially the people who would be finishing later. Then we whipped up dinner. It was kind of potluck style, so everyone had packed stuff for people. There was a whole canopy with the kitchen area. It actually rained this night, which, as we say in Montana, we really need that rain. It's just so good to get all that water in the summer. But so there was food, ate, tent was set up, went to sleep, woke up the next morning and did it again. So from here, this was off Stormcastle Road. We ran up the road and joined. Let's see, we went up the road and then joined this trail that is very little known and very unused just because a burn went through the area maybe 10 years ago. Then you climb up and you sneak around to kind of the backside of Highlight Peak, climb it, and then you join the Gallatin Crest Trail, which is one of my favorite trails, bang for buck. It's about 45 minutes from Bozeman. You're running on the crest of this hill, and off to either side, you just see sweeping views. If I'm on it, I'll in the YouTube version. These are all up on YouTube, so you should go to that and play a little bit of it and give it a like or a comment just to really boost my YouTube numbers. But I'll try to put some videos up there for that portion of it. And if you're listening on YouTube, you can obviously disregard this portion of the show. And so we climbed up Highlight Peak, we joined the Gallatin Crest Trail, and then it just winds across the crest, just sweeping views of everything on either side. It's a pretty tough day. You gain like 10,000 feet over 33 miles or something. And there's only a couple water sources. And you hit, so about, I don't know, 20 miles in, we hit this lake. I believe it's called Crater Lake. And of course you got to swim in lakes. I just swam in one today. Actually, I was on my run, ran up to Lava Lake and jumped on in, and everyone else was like jumping in and getting out because there's still some snow feeding into it, but I jumped in and swam all the way across and got all the weird looks, as I am one to do. Tangent City, so let's circle back to where we were. So Crater Lake. Went swimming there. There was still a big chunk of snow dripping into it, but it was a very refreshing lake. It was like 92 degrees when we were out there, so nice to have that water. From there, it was like, I don't even know what to call it. You can just like turn your brain off and look out over the sweeping views. It was incredible looking, beautiful. The trail is fairly easy to follow. The climbs are, I think, I'm trying to get all this trail runner lingo. The climbs are punchy. So they're like quick, steep ups and kind of runnable, but rocky downs. But it felt really good. It was beautiful out there. Everything looked awesome. And then about 4 miles from where the next crew stop in the camp was, some friends, Olivia, Devin, Evan, and Dan, had packed up all the stuff for an aid station. Like, they packed up a table. They had pizza, water. They had beer. They had seltzer that isn't hard seltzer. They had Red Hots. Not sure why they brought those. Who would want to eat Red Hots in the middle of running? They had peanut M&Ms. They had every gummy stuff. They had everything. I couldn't even imagine how 4 people had packed up that much stuff. So, but they had this awesome aid station. So hung out there for a little bit. There was actually service, and I got a couple calls came in. You know, when you like turn your phone off airplane mode and immediately the calls come in and you're like, man, this is either a simulation or someone's watching me. That happened. So from there, jogged the last 4 miles with Kyla, who her and Mallory actually organized most of the event and put it on and make the whole thing work with all the logistics. We ran on down into Portal Creek Road, camped again, whole potluck thing, Tonight was noodles, and actually a friend, Patrick, we call him young Patrick because there is another Patrick who is older. If you guessed that, you're very bright. I challenged him that morning he said he was going to fish. I said he should catch me a fish, and he said that he would accept that challenge and see what he could do. So he went on his way. He was part of the crew, so he fished during the day and maybe got a run in, and then met everyone at camp again, and there he was with a really nice fish. He fried it up, nice trout, and I ate it. I offered some bites to everyone around. I'd grown up, me and my dad and my mom. I don't know why I'm listing all my family members individually. My whole family had grown up fishing and hunting, and really more from that side of the outdoors. We did a 3-mile backpacking trip once or twice a year, and the main point was the lake we were at and swimming and fishing in it versus like through hiking or trail running. So it was more like a destination trip. So I'd grown up with this whole fish aspect, or crawdad, as we called it. I think they're crayfish. I don't know. Crawdads to me. So we grew up doing that. So it was fun to let people try the fish, and it was very buttery, perfect, fresh caught that day, mountain trout. Great meal. So everyone made it in. Last year when we did it, it actually was after dark when the last 4 people made it in. This year, quick crowd. Everyone made it in before dark. The bugs and mosquitoes were bad though. And thus began day 3. So we woke up, as we all hope to do every single day. If you don't wake up on a day, that's probably a bad day. We climbed out of Portal Creek, a couple thousand feet, and then ran along the crest a little bit more, sweeping views, just like pristine Montana. Think of like the iconic mountain jagged peaks of the Rockies. That's literally what we're running on. Green alpine meadows, lakes, streams, views of one of my favorite mountains, Sphinx, out in the distance. Google it if you want. Yeah, and then we continued on. We climbed up over the shoulder of Buffalo Horn Peak, dropped to Buffalo Horn Lake, I believe it's called. Went swimming again there. Everyone jumped in, and as I do, I jumped in and basically swam halfway across, because that is the fun part of swimming and running and being hot in the wilderness. So swam there, threw the shoes and socks back on, and ran down. Saw some friends that had run out to meet us at the end of our last day, and ran in with them to complete like 120 mile week with 30,000 feet of gain. So it was really my test case to be ready to give the Tahoe Rim Trail a go and just see what happens out there. And everything looked good. I have been putting more and more effort and money into my body and health recently. So after that, actually yesterday, a few days after that, I got a massage, more from the sports massage side. So it's not I don't really like being touched, but this side, like this way of massage kind of hurts, like in the good way, you know? I always like making the joke of well, I shouldn't make that here. It hurt in the good way. And so got that, feeling good about going for the Tahoe Rim Trail in a few days. But unfortunately, I just wanted to do a hike up to an alpine lake and then run down and just get a swim in, because I love swimming. And on the way down today, I rolled my ankle twice. Once was like, oh, and that's not a big deal, it'll like wear off. And the second was like, ooh, and I was hopping for a little bit on the other foot because I crank that guy pretty good. So we're just going to hope that that turns around and we'll feel good. So the schedule, I think I'm going to go for the Tahoe Rim Trail record starting Wednesday. So I should be done by... That was a sneeze. I'm allergic to a good time, which I'm always having when I'm talking. Not. So I'm going to be starting Wednesday, hopefully finish Thursday night, but I'm not as tied to the FKT as a lot of other things. I'm going to really try hard, but if it's not in the cards, I'm just going to try to finish the loop on the Tahoe Rim Trail. Sounds like a pretty fun objective, and I've just had such a weird year of, I was going to do the Ouachita Trail FKT in February, had to cancel that because my partner, my running partner, not romantic partner, my friend David, who I was going to do it with, he broke his foot, I think, and I ended up getting the flu. So great timing for us. It did not work out. And then at Cocodona, if you've listened to that episode, and if not, you should at least play it in the background. I don't know, something happened with my Achilles where I thought it was pretty messed up. So I did PT for like a month and a half and felt pretty unfulfilled by that result, and like I could really do a lot better. All that is to say, I am looking forward to giving an FKT a go, and we will just see how this sucker shakes out. I was going to talk about a couple more things, but now I just really can't remember. Oh, I think I was going to hint at, I think I'm going to do a full episode on this at some point, but how I plan for an FKT. So I obviously decided I'm doing this like a week and a half ago. That's not a lot of time to plan. But what I do is I hone in on what is the crux of the FKT, the race, whatever. A lot of times it's water. This is a really easy example because it is, in fact, water. So there's like a 36-mile section of the Tahoe Rim Trail that is going to be without water. And I've looked at some of the comments on Far Out, a few other resources, the TRT website, and talked to a couple people. It sounds like there's not going to be water there. So I'm planning for there to not be water. So how then does that factor in? Well, I know there's this 36-mile chunk, and I want to be able to cross it with the least amount of water possible. So what can I control? I can control when I hit there, and I can control like how much I've hydrated going into that and where it comes in respect to the loop. So how I planned it is I kind of knew where I wanted to start so that it would either start or end. Well, it would start and end with places on the trail that I have an emotional connection to and I've already been. So that's going to take care of that emotional tie, that caring, that investment immediately of putting me in the mode of FKT, which I think is really important. It's easy to just go after things mindlessly without a huge tie to them. But then what's the value? What's it worth when it gets hard? You don't have anything to draw on. So I want that emotional connection first. And then it was like, which way do I want to go? Well, one way is like 90 miles to the water. The other is 70 to the waterless stretch. That math may be off, but it's, so one, if I go one direction counterclockwise, I can hit that section during the night. And so that's how I decided which direction I'm going to go. And why I'm going to go that way is so that I have to carry less water because it'll be at the coldest point of the 24-hour period at night. So that's kind of how I've decided to plan on it. And then beyond that, it's been taking the training from the last, 10 to 12 months of really focusing on nutrition and getting in like 200 to 250 calories an hour, which I'm going to aim for. And since I'm shooting for about 40 to 41 hours, I'm going to be taking, if we do the math, about 10,000 calories. Honestly, I know I'm not going to eat that much. It's probably not a good thing to say that ahead of time, but I'm going to plan for 9,000. I know I'm going to lack in those last hours going in just because like maybe the last 5 hours, I'm only eating 100 an hour. Not a big deal. It won't come back to bite me, I hope. But I'm just going to plan for about 1,000 less than I should. I think a lot of hours will be in that 200 calorie realm. And even on the John Muir Trail, I had 15,210 calories and I ate 7,820 calories, something like that. Yeah, I'm not a numbers guy. Remember all those like they're yesterday. I can remember what that number, 15,210, looks like on the calculator on my phone. That's how weird and how I remember things. Like I'll remember things on the Tahoe Rim Trail, of which I've done 80% maybe. I haven't done the northeast side. That's like the only section I haven't done. But I remember things about that trail and living in Tahoe City where it will just like, it'll be like two pictures, one of where I'm looking at it and one of, say, 19 when I was out there. And they'll like blend together and match perfectly. It's like the weirdest thing that my mind does. And that's why I talk about that emotional connection, that why, and why I want to do it. I'll talk more about planning FKTs, races, hard stuff, because I think I do it a little bit differently, and I also think I do it better. Obviously, we should all bet on ourselves, right? That's why we're hosting a race. Why I think I do it better is you have to focus on the emotional connection and why you're doing it, and then you work down into how you're going to be successful. It's starting with like the big, why should I even go out there? And then individually gets to the specific of, how am I actually going to do this? How am I going to get it done? Am I just signed up for this race because I want to try a hard race? Or am I signed up in doing this race because I like this terrain? It's going to be interesting to see how I do at this point. It's a test case. I have an emotional connection to this area. My friends are running, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of the thought process of how I think through races, trails, FKTs, all that. Basically, the plan for this is I am not in my best shape. I am still coming off an injury. Rolled my ankle today. That was so sad. But I did get to swim in an alpine lake. But I just want some adventure. I backpacked at least one overnight for the last 3 weeks, which is going to be 4 weeks after Tahoe Rim Trail, even though it's not really backpacking. It's fast packing. It's just packing. We'll call it packing. So it'll be 4 weeks after that. I just want to have an adventure. I have an emotional connection to Tahoe because I live there. I've never done the whole trail in one go. And what better way than to push my body and see how fast it can go, try to get some confidence back after those Achilles issues. Also, not saying it's a factor, but it's a really easy trail to bail out on if the Achilles flares up or some other issue like that. All right. With that, my friends, I will let you go. Thank you for letting me have your ear for, I don't know, going to guess this will be a total episode of 27 minutes, 51 seconds. We'll see. Okay, so sign up for a race, Montana Meltdown, link below. Check out the FKT. I'll put some stuff out. It'll be on my stories. We're starting follow Free Outside Races on Instagram. That's races, RACES. Obviously, the races, because plan is there's going to be a lot more events. I am starting this platform, hoping to connect, bring the communities together. I have done a bunch of trail work in the last 2 weeks too. I have a ton of ideas that I'm going to bring together and hopefully connect, create a really good community, hopefully start giving stuff to you guys beyond just putting stuff out there. All right, that's everything we got. Support us. With that, stay elite, my friends.